Hello, I'm Keener Fry, Executive Director of the University of Wyoming Alumni Association. I am pleased to be joined by Ericka Patten. Ericka is a marketing project manager for Ogilvy in Denver, Colorado, and an active brown and gold champion for the UW Alumni Association. Ericka's session today continues a series of many recorded interviews we will be producing with our alumni in a variety of fields. We hope our students and alumni are able to use these informational interview videos as a learning tool when deciding on their desired career path or when learning about a new industry. Welcome, Ericka, and why don't you go ahead and give us the pathway to your current career?
Keener, thank you so much for having me on today. As Keener said, I went to the University of Wyoming where I got my degree in marketing. When I was going through the university, I had the opportunity to internship with a lot of different companies around the town and throughout the state. And that was one thing that was really important to me, was that I had originally gone up to the university to become an elementary education major. And that was kind of my goal. And then I started taking some business classes and realized that business was much more in my veins and what I was really striving to become. And so through that, I interned at multiple different media companies to figure out what type of marketing do I want to be a part of. And through that experience, I had the opportunity to actually intern in New York City, where I worked for HBO. And that was an opportunity that came up through the university, that they had started an on-campus subscription for HBO Go. And then throughout my time of promoting it, they had actually opened up the internship to a bunch of people throughout all the states. So I applied for it and ended up in New York. And from that, it really got me going on how much is out there in the world to explore and to see and to do, but then to also know that you can always come back to Wyoming. So I had gone out to New York between my junior and senior year, and when I came back to start out my senior year, there was actually a position open at Cheyenne Frontier Days to help run their marketing and merchandising. And so I applied for it, and actually my first day of my senior year of college was my first day of my full-time job. So kind of a roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, where is this path going to take me? What does it look like? What is it going to be? And from my experience at Frontier Days, I had the opportunity to learn email marketing, to learn graphic design, to learn clothing design, all these different things that I never knew I would need. Mm-hmm. And in that process, actually, we had gone into a website redesign project. And I was really excited because I had just gotten off of another project that had done something similar. And we started shopping it around to these things called marketing agencies. And I never knew what those were. And after doing some research, I was like, hang on a second. If a company like Frontier Days needs an advertising agency, who else needs an agency? Mm-hmm. And that was what sparked my desire to join the agency world. So shortly after that, I ended up moving to Denver and really got a base foundation in learning account management and project management. And then an opportunity showed up on LinkedIn where it actually showed that I was connected with another fellow Wyoming alumni. And I asked him to coffee, and we sat and talked about agency, about strategy, and about Wyoming football, honestly. Like, that was our main sounding point, was we connected on football. And now I've been at Ogilvy for a little over a year and a half and absolutely have loved that experience. So a lot of different twists and turns in my career path, but I've found that advertising is what's for me.
Well, two things stand out that would seem important for students that may be watching this video, young alums that may be looking at a marketing career or a different avenue in marketing. And it seems like the enriching of your student experience through seeking out actively and with support from university folks, an internship seems immensely important. What elements of those internships maybe supplemented what your classwork had taught you, but what did you learn on top of that in your internship?
That's a great question. So yes, to the point around using resources that the campus offers. So I had a academic advisor had sent me the job for HBO, and I had responded back and I was like, is this the real HBO? Like, wait a second here. And he believed in me enough to be like, yeah, go do it. Go apply for it. You don't have anything to lose. So I think that was one thing that I had learned, was just that you're going to develop all these different skills from each of these different jobs that you're going to have through internships. And sometimes that's the best thing that an internship can teach you, is that you don't know what you don't like if you don't know what's out there. And so I think that had taught me a lot about, okay, which path do I want to take? What things do I like about what I do, and what things do I not like about what I do? And how can I shape and mold my career into the things that I like, as well as what my strengths are?
One more on the internship. Yeah, there's a young graduate that I know that had a miserable experience in a particular field that he pursued, and he deemed it to be a failure. And I deemed it to be a tremendous success. He learned something that he did not want to do, and he did a good job at it, but he just didn't want to do it. And it sounds like very similar to what you said. You learned aspects of marketing that maybe you just didn't have the affinity for or the interest, and it redirected you toward other areas of marketing. And I think that is a huge value of internships.
I could not agree more. Yeah, I think once you find where your strengths lie, and you can really hone in on those. So like for me, I love being creative, and I love that artist mindset, but I'm not a designer. But I've found that my strengths lie in more like organizational practices and different things like that. So the fact that I can still be creative in different forms has really played out well.
Right. And then another thing that stood out to me, Ericka, that I think a lot of young folks can take to heart, you clearly, by getting a connection through LinkedIn, had probably a pretty strong LinkedIn presence, updated information, professional picture, references and supporters who endorsed you with certain skills. Can you speak to that just a bit?
Yeah. I'm going to be completely honest with you. One of my hobbies is keeping my resume updated. Like, it sounds very nerdy, but to keep your resume up to date and your LinkedIn profiles, and if you have a website, just keeping everything connected, and then taking the time to reach out to people through it. You never know who you really are connected to that could help launch your career in a different direction, or what opportunities are out there. So I think my biggest piece of advice would be to keep your LinkedIn profile as updated as possible, but also take time to go through who your connections are and reach out to them, and really make those connections count.
Well, that's just great advice. I can't think of anything more important for our students to hear from that. Speak to a little bit. You haven't talked much about it yet, and because I know not every marketing position can be maybe as glamorous in this sense, but you have gotten to do some really remarkable travel in your time with Ogilvy. Speak to that, the kind of work you have done, and how valuable that has been to continue to move your career on a trajectory that is going up, up, up.
Well, thank you. Ogilvy is one of the largest ad agencies in the world, and our office here in Denver and the team that I'm on focuses on employee engagement. So why do you as an employee show up to work every day, and what tools and trainings can we give you to help you do your job the best that you can? And so to that point, Keener, that you mentioned, I have been able to travel quite a bit. My top accounts right now are IBM and American Express. So for American Express, we are going and doing trainings with card service members, and training them on just the different languages to use and how to roll out new card products and different things like that. And then on the IBM side, I've had the incredible opportunity to be able to workshop with our clients, as well as each year they host their large summit. And so 2 years ago, I actually had the opportunity to go to San Francisco, where I helped just coordinate all of these different talk tracks and things like that, and really work hands-on with our clients as we're going through everything. And I love that spark when the client comes to us with these really hard, gnarly, complex problems, and they're like, how do we solve these?
Mm-hmm.
And we're not just solving a business problem, we're solving a human problem. And to be able to have the platform to help people really engage with their job has been so meaningful to me.
Oh, that is great. What other experiences on the UW campus, now looking back, has played a role in your success? Were you involved in other RSOs or other activities, or describe a little bit of that, those activities outside of the classroom?
Yeah, so outside of the classroom, when I first got to the University of Wyoming, I was a walk-on for the swim team.
Okay.
So I swam for my first 2 years, and then I actually transitioned to become the team manager.
Okay.
And in that team manager role, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time was project management. I was making sure everyone had the right swimsuits, the caps, the goggles, all the things, and having to coordinate and navigate across multiple different people, as well as pool times and meets and different things like that, really helped to hone in my skills as for what I do now, which I had this realization a couple of months ago that I was like, oh my gosh, I've been developing these skills over time. And then in addition to being a part of athletics, I helped out with Cowboy Joe Club, as well as I was a part of Alpha Kappa Psi, which is one of the business fraternities on campus. And through that, I made great connections, great friends, and really helped to develop networking skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to think of what else I was involved in, but I did a lot of work with Wyoming Athletics in their marketing department. So they started up, at the time it was called the Wyoming Corral, but it was basically getting all of the social media platforms up and going.
Right.
And so I really helped to hone in on developing our social channels and learning how to live tweet a basketball game or take the best photo at a football game really helped to diversify my portfolio as I kind of traveled down this path.
Oh, that's great, Ericka. Well, you sound like you had like I said, a very rich student experience, and that certainly translates into a positive career. And I think it translates into your desire to stay connected to the university. And you have certainly fond experiences. It seems like as you look back on your college experience or even your early work experience, anything you would have done a little bit differently, or gone down a little different path, or sought out other kinds of advice, support, or whatever?
I think I would. One thing I was thinking about was around the more technical classes that Wyoming offers. So I now, a lot of my clients are in the tech space. And so I think one thing I wish I would have done a little bit more of was dig into my supply chain classes or my computer science classes to just really understand all the parts and pieces of the technical aspect of business.
Right.
And that was just something I didn't know. So it's been a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm finding it's actually a lot more interesting than you would think it would be.
Right. Oh, that's good stuff. Well, Ericka, I really enjoyed spending time with you today. You have provided some just outstanding insights that will be valuable to the viewers of this Cowboy2Cowboy informational interview. I will end with, I am greatly appreciative of you desiring to stay involved with the university through the Alumni Association. You're a life member of the Alumni Association. We appreciate that. You have actually helped us. We didn't mention that. You helped us with our LinkedIn content when we were without a person to do that. We appreciate that on the volunteer. But I don't think there's been anything more exciting for you to do that you've taken, or the enthusiasm you show in writing notes to prospective students to encourage them to come to the University of Wyoming. and share just briefly about the value that you have seen in staying connected and supporting the university in the ways that you have through the Alumni Association.
The Alumni Association has been so great because when you're done with college, you have this moment of like, okay, who am I in the world? Who are my people? Where are my people? And the Alumni Network offers you that ability to say, like, here you go. And one thing I absolutely loved about my experience of picking a college and going through that whole college process was I was going through the recruiting process, and the Wyoming coach at the time, he had called me up after a really terrible swim meet. And he was like, you know what? I've got a spot for you here. If you want to come to Wyoming, you're welcome here. And I had other coaches say, you're not fast enough, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not big enough. And Wyoming opened that door for me. And I think that is what I hope to bring to other prospective students, is that welcoming door of, hey, you can make your opportunities here, and whatever you're going to pour into your experience, you're going to get out of it. And that was something that I saw, whether that be through football games, through Cowboy Joe Club, through swimming, through school, any of it. I was able to develop and create these great connections that have lasted me throughout the years. And I can't say enough about how important it is to just stay connected and to have those moments to be able to say, like, hey, you're not going to regret going to Wyoming.
That's a fitting way to wrap this up. I will share for our viewers, Ericka is more than happy to connect with you about future questions, opportunities that you may be exploring in the marketing field, and her contact information through LinkedIn and the like will be on the next screen. So thank you, Ericka. Keep up the great work, and go Cowboys and Cowgirls down in Denver.
Thank you.
Okay.